This is Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Michelle Martin.
And I'm Steve Inskeep.
Marketplace Morning Report is coming up next, and then in 10 minutes at 9 o'clock, it's the BBC NewsHour on WNYC. Let's check in with London to see what they're working on. London, good morning.
Good morning, WNYC. I'm Nuala McGovern. On today's NewsHour, a political earthquake in Argentina as Javier Milei, a right-wing populist, wins the presidential election. What will it mean for the country's struggling economy? That's BBC NewsHour coming up at 9 on WNYC.
39 and sunny right now, sunny and 44 for Ohio. That's Monday, November 20th. It'll be breezy as well. Then tomorrow, rain likely, mainly late afternoon, and a high of 48 and breezy. And then Wednesday, we might see some morning rain. Partly sunny as the temperature falls to the upper 40s on Wednesday. Again, 39 and sunny at 8:51.
WNYC supporters include New York Presbyterian. New York Presbyterian has had the largest transplant program in the nation since 2005. Stay amazing. More at nyp.org. Organ Procurement and Transplantation Network, UNOS 2022.
Thanks to the financial support of members like you, WNYC is independent and available to all. Did you know that your donation could be doubled or even tripled? Many companies match charitable contributions made by their employees. To find out if your employer participates in a matching gift program, just visit our easy search tool at wnyc.org/match. And thanks.
The person at the top of the most prominent of artificial intelligence companies gets the boot, fights back, and lands very much on his feet, all in the space of a long weekend.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto Networks delivers what's next in cybersecurity innovation to protect today's digital way of life. Learn more at paloaltonetworks.com.
I'm David Brancaccio in New York. The pioneer at the top of the ChatGPT company, OpenAI, got fired by his board on Friday, reportedly almost got his job back at the company by Saturday, and by last night landed a sweet position at OpenAI's biggest business partner, Microsoft. The man who you don't just fire is Sam Altman. Marketplace's Nova Safo has been tracking developments.
Yeah, David, and what we don't know this morning is exactly what precipitated all of this chain of events. OpenAI says its board fired Sam Altman because, in their words, he was not consistently candid. They haven't elaborated on what that means. OpenAI has an unusual structure. It's a nonprofit with a for-profit arm, which is where the partnership with Microsoft is. So the sudden announcement of Altman's firing came on Friday from the nonprofit board. Then yesterday, Altman was back at OpenAI's headquarters in San Francisco, apparently negotiating his potential return. And then late last night, the final word from Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella announcing that he'd hired Altman to lead a new AI research team at Microsoft.
Fortune magazine is reporting that Altman was doing a lot of travel to fundraise for an AI microchip venture, suggesting that might have placed him crosswise with the OpenAI board, but Altman's not confirming this.
No, and we don't really know a lot right now. What we know for certain is that this is really still playing out. We're seeing a number of OpenAI employees posting in protest on X, formerly Twitter. There are reports that some staff members have already quit. We know Altman will be joined at Microsoft by his OpenAI co-founder Greg Brockman, and Brockman put out a list of several others who are apparently leaving OpenAI and heading to Microsoft. So keep in mind, Microsoft is also OpenAI's biggest partner. Right now, Nadella says that partnership will continue, but it's clear that this is still a developing story, David.
All right, Marketplace's Nova Safo. Many will spend another day this Friday manipulating pixels into virtual shopping carts, or they'll go into windowless stores and do the same IRL. Now, there is another way to use Friday, the great outdoors, and according to new data from the Bureau of Economic Analysis, outdoor recreation still means consumer spending. It contributed $1 trillion to economic output last year. Wyoming, Montana, Alaska, Florida, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine see a lot of this in their GDPs. Pandemic recovery has given this sector a boost. Marketplace's Savannah Marr reports.
Early in 2020, when people were feeling restless at home, but also didn't want to risk getting sick,
The city of Lander, Wyoming, saw an opportunity.
If you want to come to where there's nobody, come here. And a lot of people came.
Owen Sweeney with Lander's Chamber of Commerce says the Wind River Mountains have always been a big economic driver. But COVID brought new hikers, bikers, and climbers who've kept coming back. Jessica Turner with the Outdoor Recreation Roundtable has seen that trend around the country. The BEA found that the sector now makes up 2.2% of the national GDP.
And you can see we're bigger than agricultures and utilities and, mining and extractive industries. You realize this is a real force for the economy.
But these economies rely on public lands maintained by federal workers. So with Congress struggling to pass a budget,
it's a yo-yo roller coaster kind of existence.
Owen Sweeney says the possibility of a shutdown after the holidays has mountain towns like his on edge. I'm Savannah Marr for Marketplace.
The current federal budget deal gets us through January. Stock index futures are little changed right now, while retail gas prices are down 9% since Thanksgiving week a year ago. Crude oil is up 2% this morning, $77.50 a barrel.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Charles Schwab. Schwab believes every investor deserves to work with a firm they can count on, with financial consultants ready to serve clients and 24/7 live help.
An update now on child care centers. Now that COVID-era federal subsidies came to an end this fall, a consumer products company facing less revenue could just raise prices so the consumer would pay. But since many struggling parents simply cannot afford to pay more for child care, this leads to what economists call a failed market. Marketplace's Stephanie Hughes has been tracking this.
To send your preschooler to downtown Baltimore childcare, it'll cost you just over $1,700 a month. It's nearly $2,300 for infants. Executive Director Hillary Roberts King understands that's a lot.
This amount is astronomical. I know that.
Roberts King says about 80% of that goes towards wages for staff. And with federal pandemic relief funds gone, the center is considering raising its rates next year by between 2 and 5%.
And part of that is looking at our competitors and then talking about what the market will bear.
One person who's part of that market is Jacqueline Lazola. She has 2 daughters here and has come to the center for a parent-teacher conference. She's keeping her voice down because it's nap time.
I try to avoid when my daughters are awake because if they're awake, it's like, Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. So
Lazola is an MD PhD student and her husband's a medical resident. And even with a discount, close to half of their income goes to childcare.
So if tuition does increase with the next academic year, we absolutely cannot afford it anymore. Unfortunately, as it stands, we are kind of teetering on being unable to pay regularly.
After Lazola graduates next month, she'd love to pick up shifts at the hospital and do some research before she starts her obstetrics residency. But to save money on childcare, she might end up staying at home with her kids.
It'll be great to spend time with the girls. I think what's frustrating about it is that it's not as if it was fully by choice. Nothing about the way the system works is made to support a 2-parent household that's working.
Single parents are frustrated too. Yusra Scott lives alone with her 2-year-old daughter, who also goes to downtown Baltimore childcare. She recently started working 4 days a week as a hairstylist.
I unfortunately can't work Saturday because I don't have anybody to watch her.
Scott gets an income-related discount on her childcare bill, which brings it to $500 a month. She says that's all she can manage. And if childcare were to get more expensive, she'd have to ask her family for help.
I wouldn't like that. It may be something that they would be like, we can't.
But not having childcare would mean not working. And Scott says that's a non-starter.
Oh, no. I mean, what would I do? I would be evicted. No, that would not be enough.
Scott hopes she's making more money by next fall so she can cover any price increase. Otherwise, she says she'll just have to figure something out. In Baltimore, I'm Stephanie Hughes for Marketplace.
Thanks, Steph. In New York, I'm David Brancaccio, Marketplace Morning Report from APM, American Public Media.